Hello, welcome back, and it's great to have James Standish with us again. How are you, James?
I'm doing well, Kent.
Now, James, we heard in the news earlier the dreadful situation in Iraq right now with, what was it, 750,000 people leaving the Kirkuk area in a period of like 4 days, 72 hours.
There's just been a tremendous pressure on religious minorities as ISIS, the Islamic extremist group, has come through northern Iraq. This is an area where a lot of Christians live, a lot of Yazidis, some other minorities like the Turkmen people as well. Now, what you should know about this, Ken, is this is not a surprise. Yes, it's headlines today. This is not a surprise. When I worked for the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, I was executive director there, as you know. Back in 2008, we did a report on this, and I'd invite our viewers to go and look at that report. Just look at U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, look up the report on Iraq, and what you'll see is all the precursors for this happening was well documented, as well as steps that could be taken to prevent this crisis.
With what could have been done to
avert
this?
There was a lot of things that had to happen, including constitutional and legal protections and integration into society, also security protections that were necessary. Most of those steps were not done. We went up to Capitol Hill, we went to the White House, we talked to the national security advisors there in the White House, and there was a lot of interest in Iraq, but most of the interest at the time was getting out.
Yeah.
And people felt like, well, you know, we've done our bit, people have died, it's time to get out of this place. The problem is that wise heads on both the Democratic and the Republican side, before we went into Iraq, that is we, the coalition of the willing, that's America and Australia and the UK and so forth, before we went in there, were saying, if you go into Iraq, this is a very complicated ethnic and religio-ethnic soup, and once you crack it open, anything's possible.
Yeah.
We're now seeing the anything is possible, and it is really terrifying. The Christian...
It's pretty worst case scenario stuff.
This is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Christian population, Christians were once 8%. 8% of Iraq. Tariq Aziz, who we remember as foreign minister of Iraq during Saddam Hussein, I'm not suggesting that was a great period by any means.
Sure.
He was a Christian, though. Well, and that was the way that they integrated back then. Well, the population has gone from 8%.
It's about 1.5 million.
1.5 million or so. Now they're down to about 450,000.
Wow.
And so just imagine, just those few years, we've lost over 1 million Christians from Iraq. And of course, we're at a point where the ability of Christianity to survive in Iraq is really a big question mark. In fact, I'm rather pessimistic myself.
So James, you say the emphasis has been on, you know, foreign troops getting out of Iraq, but now we've got, you know, airstrikes, US airstrikes.
That's right.
Is more military action the answer? Just briefly before we finish.
Well, we're in a complete mess. Probably military intervention is necessary because how else do you stop the genocide that's going on? Our only hope now is to get the rest of the Christians out and find them places to live like Australia.
Yeah, if they need help, we should be there for them.
You're right.
Okay, thanks, James.
Pleasure.